These problems also ask you whether or not something is possible. Okay? First of all, you should know cosine of an angle and sine of an angle only exist in between -1 and 1. So if it says cosine of an angle equals 2, are you gonna get an answer to this? No, there is no answer to this, so does not exist. If you put it in your calculator, we said second, because when we're trying to find an angle, right? So we'd say inverse cosine of 2 would give us an angle. So inverse cosine of 2, it says domain. You can't do that, it means. Okay? Now, it also may ask you, can you get a number for this? Alright, so like tangent of pi over 2 equals z. Can you get a number for z? Does z exist? Okay? Well, if we go to pi over 2, well, that's at the top of the unit circle. So that's here, and that point is 0, 1. Correct? Tangent is the same as what? What over what? Y over x. So that's going to be 1 over 0. So does tangent exist? What's 1 over 0? Undefined. If it's undefined, it doesn't exist. Same goes, let's say I said secant of pi over 2. Okay? Secant of pi over 2. Okay, well I have to do cosine of pi over 2. What's cosine of pi over 2? This is the same angle. Cosine's what? X value or the y value? It's 0, the x value. So if I flip 0, what would I get for secant? Undefined. So this one also does not exist. So it's asking you where things exist and where things don't exist. You have to be able to think about them in terms of, like, if it's over 0, it's not going to exist, okay? Like, if it's something over 0, I should say. If the number comes out to, like, 1 over 0, it's not going to exist, alright? Or, for sine or cosine, if you get anything less than -1 or greater than 1, it's also not going to exist. And the last type of problem is, they ask you, like, what happens as sine of theta, let's say they say, sine of theta is close to 0. As sine of theta is close to 0, what's happening? To 0 degrees. So, we can look on here. As sine of theta is close to 0, what's the x value here going to be? I'm sorry, sine goes with the y value. It's going to be 0. So sine's going to approach 0. Okay? So it gets to 0. As cosine of theta gets close to 0, exactly, 0 degrees, or 0 radians even, okay? It'd get closer and closer to 1, because the answer is 1. Those ones are easy because we can look those up. What about tangent of theta? What happens? There's a couple things we can do. You could put it in your calculator. You could say, alright, tangent of 0.0001. Is that a really big number or a really small number? One really small number means times 10 to the -5th, right? So that's getting closer and closer and closer to what? 0, right? What if I wanted to say, okay, cosecant theta. As we get close to 0, so cosecant would be 1 divided by sine, 0.0001. That's getting a big number, right? So I'm getting close to infinity. So if you put these in the calculator, if it gets really big, it's close to infinity. If it gets really small, it's close to 0. If it gets close to 1, it's close to 1. So that's all you have to do.